Can I use the sawdust to make bread with? I'm trying to get as much as possible.
And as clean as possible.
Right. Is about 2 cups.
2 cups fine grade baking sawdust.
I don't know if you've ever read The Midwife's Apprentice, but in there, she's actually pretty good. Catherine Cushman is the author. And she does a lot of really cool historical research. And one of the things the inns used to do to save on flour was use sawdust instead of flour in their pastries.
That's interesting.
It was considered a low class thing. Like it was kind of an inn shark kind of thing to do.
In a number of German styles of bread.
Really?
Well. Yeah.
Well, and if you think about how light and fluffy sawdust is and how, I mean, flour takes a summer to grow.
Yeah.
And if you want sawdust, you get a tree.
Yeah.
Ta-da! So I think it'd be fun to try.
I dearly hope. So I have a suspicion, and that is that the flour we used is pine, and pine has flavor. I am the kind of woodworker who chews on wood chips. See the video right here if you are interested in seeing that. But, you know, I'm probably going to want an even smaller slice because I'm going to be taking one of each. But pine has a distinct flavor, and since it was pine sawdust, I think I'll be able to tell. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to tell. Okay, I got mostly crust, some filling, but mostly crust. Okay, this is from pie number 1.
Not to juke you, but all 3 pies have oats in them.
Clever. I had the texture. I need to nibble a piece of crust by itself. This is the non-gluten-free with sawdust. On flavor alone, I wouldn't have guessed, but I found a slightly larger piece of sawdust. I hope I'm right. Okay, on to number 2. Let's do this thing. Why do I feel like a surgeon whenever I make that initial cut in a pie? It's like, if I miss the center, I will mess things up for OCD people for all time. That's nice. I got a big hit of filling here, so let's test the crust and see how different that is. You know I'm tasting extra hard. Because Karl Popper says that in the scientific method you should try to prove yourself wrong. And so I'm going to try to find sawdust in this one. I'm confident this has no sawdust in it. The weird thing is, if I'm right, that's great, discerning palate. I can tell if there's sawdust in my food. Even though I am right, I'm shocked at how little of a difference it made here. Like, in terms of flavor, it wasn't like overpowering pine sol sort of pie.
Yeah, maybe you should try the third one.
Oh dear. Let's go. Can I taste sawdust in my pie? Well, I've eaten 2 pies, which means, statistically speaking, I know I've eaten one with sawdust. I don't know if I've eaten the one without sawdust. Because that's how that works. It's a fun logic puzzle built around a similar idea.
How's the filling taste, P.S.?
Quite good.
Really? Oh, good. I used elk and potatoes and red onions and carrots and peas and a couple of spices.
Okay. You said that 2 of these have sawdust in them? Two of them. Is this one of those 2 truths and a lie, and one of the lies was that you were telling a lie?
No, it's 2 of them honestly have sawdust, and I have a witness while I was cooking who can affidavit. Yep.
Okay, I can see how you could get away with this. That's
right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, 2 of them have sawdust for sure.
And the ratio was like 2 to 1, right? So it was like 2 cups flour, 1 cup sawdust.
Yes, it is a full cup of sawdust.
A full third of the...
A full third of the pies that have sawdust is pine shavings.
So I did not taste any pine shavings here. I found one here, so I'm pretty sure it's this one. Because it was a slightly larger splinter. I dearly hope that was a pine splinter.
Final vote.
Okay. Can I say which one is gluten-free too? I'm going to go with that one's gluten-free. Okay, I'm shooting like 3 out of 3 wrong. Okay.
I love you so much. You're actually you are actually not as wrong as you think. You're doing pretty well.
Huh.
Wait, hold on. So tell me your guesses again.
Okay.
Silver platter.
All right. Silver platter definitely has pine sawdust in it.
Ching.
Ching, correct. Gluten-free.
Yep.
Got it. Does this one have pine in it? This should not be this hard.
Do you want to try the other 2 again?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you do a side-by-side comparison there? I'm savoring my $5.
This is incredibly frustrating. I am literally eating sawdust and not able to identify it. Okay, the thing that's blowing my mind about this whole sawdust is cheaper than flour thing is sawdust was cheaper than flour. This means that flour was expensive enough that you cared whether you were putting real flour in, which makes sense in time of famine and basically no other time in my mind. And it also means that you would have access to fine grade sawdust cheaper than grain. Like, is this only something that happens around shipyards? I don't know. Well, the thing is, I can't taste sawdust in this one.
So the place, ching ching.
There's no sawdust in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's sawdust in this one.
How about you take me out to dinner and we call it even?
Fair enough. So this is a thing that can work.
Yeah, I was actually, as I was making them, I was startled by how similar the doughs were as I was kneading them up.
Texture as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating sawdust.
No, and it's a full cup of sawdust. I filmed it.
Is this one slightly sweeter than this one?
Quite possibly.
I feel so proud and so violated at the same time. This is so weird. My food's been adulterated and I don't even mind. On the other hand, if you want to talk about bleached flour, we can have quite the discussion. So, wow. I don't expect to make a habit of this, but I don't think I would complain if we did.
Would you know?
That's the thing.
Could you tell?
No.
What if I start putting sawdust in your food?
You know what would be crazy?
It's great fiber.
Is if the reason why this one tasted off was because it was gluten-free and not because it had pine in it.
You wouldn't have been able to tell.
If it weren't for that one splinter that I got.
Mm-hmm. If you get sawdust down to a fine enough grade, like the dough is a little bit wetter. Like it does not absorb as much water, so that middle one absorbed more water and was a drier dough as a result.
Interesting.
But the other two didn't. They were both really wet doughs. Filling makes up for it though, huh?
Even it's not that the filling was hiding it. I tried really hard to isolate the crust, and that one got past me.
I think it's a little dry. It would be really good with an hollandaise on top. But I also believe that if you are trying to smother something in hollandaise, then maybe you should
cook something
eat
else.
That thing. Yeah.
If it needs hollandaise, that's not food.
It's not bad. The crust came out nice.
Did you taste the sawdust one yet?
I don't remember which. Oh. Yes.
Did you find a wood chip?
Yep.
High in fiber? That is so disturbing.
Actually, okay, that's the thing is I put oats in as well, so that might have been an oat. I don't know. I can't tell. The crust did come out nice and flaky though, and I was concerned that the filling would go well with the crust. I would have maybe a nice rich gravy. Like, can you imagine a nice English gravy, like the thick brown kind?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
That would be
go
wild.
really well here.
No argument. So what do you think? Can you tell which one's tree flour? That's a German term for it.
So it's a really good thing that I had a helper as I was cooking, because I actually got them mixed up at one point because I couldn't tell looking at them. And we had to get like right up close to the pies to look and see.
Which one?
Because we did a
which?
blind bake, which means that's when you put the bottom of the crust in so it can bake, so you don't get a soupy underneath and it comes out nice and crispy everywhere. So we did a blind bake first, and that's when
You got it mixed
they
up.
all got mixed up. And so, because I had the bottoms in but not the tops, and so I had to know which tops went with which bottoms. Unfortunately, my helper was paying attention.
Full disclosure, I was not that helper.
No,
So
you were not. Joseph was not the helper. It was a friend of mine, but we ended up sorting everything out and getting it back to its proper place. But it was a moment of confusion.
So it didn't just confuse the eater, it confused the baker.
Yeah. Because I was making a bunch at a time, I just didn't. Because I made all three at the same time.
That's positively wild.
Yep.
Apparently, this is a thing that is still happening. So, you're not going to believe this, but for bread companies will still add sawdust to bread in order to claim that it's extra high in fiber.
Viva la Middle Ages!
I just determined that I can't taste the difference and don't mind. Why do I still feel violated? Is there any nutritional value in the fiber other than the fiber?
It is 40% cellulose.
You can't digest that because of the...
No, it's straight
Good.
fiber. Like it
It's
is
just going to clean you out.
Yep.
Well, I guess with white flour, that's not a bad thing. Let's reintroduce the bran in the form of wood.
I bet we could make noodles out of sawdust.
Now that would be the boss level move.
They make noodles out of chickpeas. And that is witchcraft in my brain, so I'm pretty sure that we can make it out of sawdust.